was noticed and conducted, and the board determined that the property needed to be abated. Womack was hired through Public Works, and they abated the property, and you can see their invoice in the packet. And that's really it. So this needs to happen at a public hearing, and this will become a lien on the property for the cost that the county incurred taking care of this. So, unless there's questions, I'll just be that.
Yeah, and I would just like to add that we opened the public hearing at 10:41 for the record, please. Does any board members have any questions of the staff report? Is there any questions from the public of the staff report? Ms. Spencer?
Yeah, I was just talking to him about how there are far worse properties in Westwood. I live on Ash Street, and so his house is one street over and to the left by the old People's Church. I got involved with this gentleman a year ago when he wanted cat food, and then when I was going to the meetings, I realized that his property is extremely cluttered. So I went to the community and asked if everybody wanted to help him. You know, I paid for a dumpster. We'd go out there, and with him, we would clean up his yard. And there wasn't one person in Westwood that wanted to help this gentleman. He's an older man, eccentric. You know, he comes to me for cat food to feed his stray cats. But what I guess my point was is that there are 10 times worse properties in Westwood that have been the same junkyard since the 13 years I've been there. So I can appreciate the maybe complaints from the neighbors about his yard, but there were 2 of those neighbors that I spoke to directly that didn't want to help him clean it up. And I was willing to pay for a dumpster, and he was willing to let us help. But I can't, I'm a old person too, so I can only do so much. But it's sorry to hear that it's come this far, but I do understand the necessity of it. But,
You have a spare $4,500, you can make this go away.
I can do that.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public questions?
Roy Anderson. I just want to thank the Sheriff's Department too, with both code enforcement cases, the one today and last week or the week before we had one before you. They were instrumental in helping us get those done. So thank you to the Sheriff's Department.
I'd like to say that, I can appreciate Ms. Spencer's statement, and I know that is the case. There's cases, code enforcement, opportunities scattered throughout the county. And I really started noticing it when I go on my trail rides and my bike through the desert, and it's not an easy task, but the argument just because there's others just as bad or worse, you have to start somewhere, and we need to get to those 10 others she referred to as well, and not just, in Westwood, everywhere. It's really, I don't envy the position of the code enforcement officer, but it is bad. And you do personally, you don't want to burden somebody with these type of costs, and it was, obviously I don't expect, it was a bit of a joke there, but it's real money, and it really did have to get paid, and it really did need to get cleaned up, because we have to set an example, and we do have to start somewhere. It's unfortunate if it's this particular case, but it's a problem, and I think we need to clean it up, everywhere. So,
Well, if
good
you'd
luck
like
to
me
you.
to respond to that, I
Sure.
can.
Yeah.
If the board wants to hire some more code enforcement officers, I can certainly get to it. That's the primary thing. The county is, the direction has been to be complaint-driven primarily,
Yeah.
so we're responding to complaints. However, sometimes there will be structural things with the building to where it's dangerous, or there will be an attractive nuisance with kids, or there'll be other things involved to where the department of its own initiative steps in. Also, I'm not able to respond to Ms. Spencer in terms of why this parcel was chosen over another, because this is a law enforcement activity. It is, the records are confidential. It would have to be disclosed to the board in closed session if you wanted to get into the fine details on, what's happening. So because of that, there could be other factors involved too, to which I can't speak of. Kind of all that goes into the mix, and I know our code enforcement officer works extremely, extremely hard, and we're certainly open to suggestions, and I'm not running for cover, but there's a lot, a very, very big county.
Right, exactly. No, I appreciate it. Spencer?
I thought you were gonna say this, but the board needs to really look at the funding. I think they get $10,000. Is it 10,000?
Somewhere under.
That's kind of like, oh well, throw $1 at them and they'll get the job done. They need more money to do this. If the county or the supervisors are serious about addressing this problem. But I'm so glad Bob Pyle isn't here, because he's just so against spending any money on this subject, but it
But I
really,
mean, I wanna.
it really
we're
is
not- No, hold
important.
on, we're not here to, it's not fair to criticize, board members. So-
I'm not criticizing, I made
No,
a
that was a
statement.
a criticism.
So you need to really think about putting more than $10,000 in this fund. I mean, if you wanna get serious about it. I mean, I live in Westwood where every other house is in total disrepair, and probably some should be torn down. I bought one and I'm tearing it down. It was an eyesore. So you need to consider, when budget time comes around, of giving them more money.
Correct, thanks, that's a good point. Richard, I'd like to actually, we'll have a conversation on that in the future. Thank you, Gail. Mr. Chapman?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just want to point out, because I think it's important that the record be noted, that this, all these kind of cases have to follow due process. We have a lot of people that come and they are very good in their heartfelt and saying, we got this problem, that problem in the neighborhood. It's not just in Westwood, but even here in the city, but all over the county. We've had a number of cases even here in the city that the city's been wrestling with. And people have a hard time understanding why it can't be something that can be just done like in the next week or the next 30 days. Most of these kind of cases, because of due process of law, and we don't establish what that is, it's established for us. It's through courts, through legislative action, and at the state level, the federal level, we have to kind of honor and adhere to. To show you just how long this case has been going on, when all the notices, if you go to page 2, all the notices that had to be required and filed, the postage rate was 44 cents a letter. I mean, it goes back quite a while to get it to a point where you're actually doing what we're doing here today in terms of filing this lien. The work itself was actually done last May, and the lien is being placed on the fact that the property owner hasn't made good on what the bill it's involved in. So I mean, these things take a lot of time. So even if you got one started today, and there's plenty that could be, and even if we had tens of thousands of dollars to start them today, this process, of anything to date, at best, you'd be seeing it being finished up at this stage 2 years from now, maybe 5 years. We've had some cases that have drug on longer than that. There's that gentleman out in Janesville that one has been, and as soon as they go in and clean it up, he goes back out there and remesses it all up again. So you have to start a whole new case to be able to go in there to clean up the one that he did after you left cleaning up the first time. And people, and that's even here in town, there was a case like that before the city council the other night. And how they go about doing that, they can, because in America, you have a right, I guess. And what you may think is an eyesore, that person thinks is probably Hearst Castle. And that's the problem we have to deal with. But hopefully we can satisfy everybody concerned.
Thanks. I'd like to ask, is the applicant present? Does he have anything to say? Okay. Is there any more from the board, either for or against? Okay, if not, we'll bring it back to the board for action. So, the action we are looking for is if we want to adopt a resolution resolution directing staff to record a lien with the office of the Lassen County Recorder to recover costs.
I'll move to adopt the resolution. Susan will give you the number.
I think it is 10, but I'm not positive. I do that back at the office.
Okay, very good.
2014-10.
I think so.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those, is there any further discussion? Before the vote? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, so that passes unanimous. Thank you. Let's move quickly down to our 10:30, U.S. Forest Service, Lassen National Forest Community Liaison. Heidi Perry. Hi,
Good morning.
how are you?
Yeah, Happy New Year.
You too.
I'm here for a couple of different reasons. 2014 is the 50th anniversary of the Wilderness Act. And I started planning last April with federal partners and a variety of nonprofits, for-profits, and talked to the R5 packers. And there was an overwhelming desire to have an event in Northern California. And so I took this event on, and in September we had a meeting with all the partners and the North State, and I have not ever in my 33-year career ever been involved in an event that had so much enthusiasm. And people from all walks of life are interested in this. I think we're at the point now where we're going to run out of room in the, let me back up, April. Started planning the event. Couldn't do it here locally. I tried. The fairgrounds isn't available in the fall, so I started shopping for another venue that was large enough to hold 8 national forests, 6 BLM units, 2 parks, the R5 packers, which have 2 mule strings of matching mules. And so we ended up October 10th through the 11th at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds in Red Bluff. So we ended up inadvertently being very centrally located. So we have partners from San Francisco North. And so if you could put that date on your calendar, because this is going to be the largest wilderness event in the nation. That's where it's evolved to. Not only are we going to have user groups at this particular event, but it also has been opened up to the art and the cultural community, and they are also very excited about the event. So it promises to be world-class, and my goal is to be able to demonstrate to our neighbors one-stop shopping for wilderness. Not only display what you have in Lassen County and surrounding counties, but what other opportunities exist. All the partners that came to the table wanted to engage youth, every single one of them. And that is what Friday is going to be. Friday will be the largest career day that I've ever seen put together by multiple agencies and multiple partners. From for-profits, nonprofits, kids will learn about all kinds of stuff in resource management and agricultural degrees. We're going to have 3 colleges there, we're going to have veterinarians there. It's just, it's really going to be amazing what those kids will be exposed to. So we also have pre-events planned for 9 county fairs. I think we have 12 parades lined up, and we'll be tiering the different events, the pre-advertisement events with Backcountry Horsemen, Forest Service, BLM, and the R5 Packers. So the kids will actually have hands-on events and see some of the things that are gonna be at the event. That's a really quick and dirty overview, because I have something I really need help with. The second handout is Wilderness Fast Facts. It kind of narrows things down. There's 400 miles, which I just learned this morning, in Lassen National Forest for hiking trails. And those are a variety of levels for people with families to more experienced groups and equestrians. So there's an opportunity for some tourism with this event. And not only that, I'd like the kids to kind of learn what's in their backyards. The other thing that I'm here hoping is that I keep getting told that the first hurdle, which is on your third page, is that it's too expensive to bus kids. So that means that rural kids aren't going to be able to attend this event. To me, that's unacceptable. But I'm an overachiever, so that's just the way it goes. I finally got some data this morning that it costs $3 a mile to bus kids. That's less than a gallon of gas. That includes the cost of the driver and the insurance. So, I'm here today to plead for help with this first hurdle and coming up with $720 to bus Lassen High School kids to this event. I have overnight camping facility. I can house them. I think I can figure out how to cook and feed for them. I need to come up with food costs if I make this happen. I think that's possible with FFA, 4-H groups, Rotary, some other organization. I wanted you guys to know first what I'm doing and canvassing you guys to maybe sponsor a bus or think about it. And that's kind of where I'm at. I want to reach out to all the public schools because I'm being told that the charter schools will pay to bus the kids. So public school kids aren't going to be able to go? To me, that's just unrealistic, unacceptable. So we have an opportunity. We have a really premier class event that's happening, and I'd like our kids to be able to participate in that. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm hoping to reach out to other groups to help sponsor bus and some of the high schools, because that's the target audience for the kids that are going into college and what do they want to do when they grow up and what's out there and what's available.
So you need 725 to achieve that, but are you sure the high school kids are interested to go?
I haven't approached the high school kids yet, because why would I get them excited about something if I can't get them there?
Well, I'd be willing to support it through my discretionary funding, provided
That'd be
you had a
awesome.
commitment for them to go. I'd donate at least half of it, so
Okay.
if you could
Thank
just
you.
let me know, I don't want to designate the money and then they're not interested to go, they want to
Well-
stay home and play with their cell phones.
That's my next, yeah, I know. And then I'm hearing that you can even use your cell phone in the wilderness. It's like,
Yeah, okay.
but anyway, so that's where I'm at. Things are going forward. We got a lot of partners. A lot of things are going to come together, and you'll see things throughout the year that's going to talk about the event and what we're doing. And but I really wanted to get you involved.
Thank you, thanks. And then, Ms. Spencer?
I just have a question, how many buses do you think you'll need at $724?
Well, that's just from Lassen. I'm hoping that schools that are closer will be less.
Okay, County Help would be willing to sponsor a full bus.
Who would?
County Help, me.
Yeah.
I'll write you a check today.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where I'm at, because then I can go to the schools and say, I have sponsors. I have bus sponsors. This hurdle is covered. This hurdle is out of the way. We can do this.
724.
720. Don't write me a check right now because
I give you cash, just give it to us.
but I'll give you my card. Okay, let me make sure, because the next thing is getting the schools involved.
Okay, well, if it doesn't happen, just tear it up. If it doesn't happen. But if that's all you need is money,
I I couldn't believe it. It's like, what, we can't bus school kids? We have to be able to bus school kids. This is gonna be amazing. And that, and the Godwood, you guys know about the Godwood organization? There's gonna be wildlife, there's gonna be hawks and birds and lizards and all kinds of stuff. I mean, the kids will have hands-on opportunities, the little ones. And, so yeah, it's gonna be really amazing. So anyways, I wanted you guys to know first before I go media-wide, and we are gonna be in Sunset Magazine, and,
That's, yeah.
so,
Mr. Alba?
anything else?
You answered my one question was, is what age group you're targeting is high school.
Yes.
And my next question is a couple of them. Are you looking at more high schools than just Lassen? I mean, what about Westwood? What about Bowie? Are you looking at
She was
those?
just saying.
That's
And
why
then-
I came here first,
and then
because
my-
I thought y'all had a high school.
Then my last
that was
question
first.
is up there in Big Valley, which is still in Lassen County, that part of the country up there is run under the Modoc National Forest. So is Modoc, are they gonna be doing the same thing? Are you working in conjunction with them to go to the Big Valley School, or is that gonna be your job to go to Big Valley School to present
I
this?
hope that the other Forest Service people get on board and start doing this, and if not, I'll do it myself. So yeah, I hope so. You guys are my test case.
Well, thank you for the information.
You're
It's
the
certainly,
first, you're the first to
certainly
know about
exciting.
it at the forum.
Mr.
I have
Chapman?
a question on another topic, actually, to help maybe you can also give us. Mr. Bird was here last month, and Chrissy's retired, or retiring, in the process of retiring, I think this month. And the board was wanting to do a kind of a proclamation, thanking him for his service to the community and
Okay.
but in order to do that, we need, is Paula still working down at the office down there, at your office?
2.5 more weeks.
Okay, because I've left a couple of messages, I have not been able, I don't know if it gets through your phone system, it's kind of, it's got a
What can
lot-
I do for you?
What I need is if you can get to either Susan or I, basically a biographical sketch of Mr. Bird, maybe his career, history and so forth, we could put together a proclamation and then get that scheduled maybe next month so that he can maybe receive it before he leaves.
Okay. Do you want him up here next month?
Yeah, it would be nice if he could be here.
With the proclamation?
Yeah, and usually they do the presentations on the second meeting, which would be the third Tuesday, but if that's not convenient for him, it could be done on the second Tuesday, which is our first meeting. But if you can get back to Susan or I or Richard in the next few days, we can get that scheduled. 'Cause Susan called me about it last week, and I said I've been trying to find somebody inside, and I was trying to reach Paula, but I didn't know she was even there still. Yeah.
So the third Tuesday in February, and you need the bio, when do you need the bio? Susan?
Next week, if you could do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And Regina, can we? can
Yeah, I already
work
have
with her
it
to get
checked up.
Okay, good.
Well, thank you, Heidi. Any other questions from the public? Appreciate that, appreciate the heads up, it sounds quite exciting.
One more question. I was looking at the date on this, I noticed, are you just gonna stay at the Red Bluff, or are you gonna be going out in the wilderness, because that's deer season, you don't want.
You know what?
deer to get
I
shot.
know, I've already had people complaining about that. It's hunting season, why did you schedule it that day? When I started planning last April, that was the first weekend that was available at the Tacoma County Fairgrounds. Last April!
Everybody else is hunting.
And so I'm like, oh God, I'm in hunting season. I'm like, oh well, guys. You know?
Give them all orange hat.
But the Issue Wilderness is actually, you can look at the Issue Wilderness right from the fairground. So actually, we have the closest wilderness to the fairgrounds. We could, if I managed to pull off everything else on my plate, we could actually have a walk up into the wilderness, the Issue, with the kids. But I'm trying to tone down my ambitions here. I just want to get in there.
Thank you.
But yeah,
Okay,
So-
I'm gonna move along.
and it's accessible in the winter. Because that's where my fire was on January 2nd. But it is one of the few wilderness areas in the state that's accessible in the winter, because most of them are high elevation. So there's a lot of potential.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to Ms. Spencer for the generous donation. That's what I call helping. Thank you. That's good. Let's bring up, I think we're gonna move on to, we have visitors here from the Army depot. So let's move on to H6. And let's take up the draft RFP regarding the county-owned parcels in the Herlong area, referred to as the airfield parcels.
I'll take that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the direction of the board, I took some liberties here in drafting a draft request for proposals for the property that county owns adjacent to the Amity Airfield. And I want the board to take it for what it is, just a starting point, a first rough draft, if the board's inclined to dispose of that property. The dates and so on obviously would have to be changed. The concept of the RFP is similar to the RFP for the other properties the county has disposed of, and essentially what it would be to open it up to anybody that wants to make a proposal for some sort of use of that property, have them make the offer of compensation to the county for that property. And I think probably more importantly than that is, the plan and maybe some commitments to doing some things out there. A couple things that I think the board should consider is whether or not to make it, to offer the entire property in this first go-around, or if the one tact might be to offer a portion of it and then wait and see what happens with that development, and retain some of it for future disposal. I don't really have an opinion regarding that, but I think it's something to be considered. It's been suggested by some members of the public that the county obtain evaluation or appraisal of the property prior to issuing an RFP. My gut hunch on that is that this is such a unique property that it would be very expensive to obtain an appraisal on it, and I'm not sure what an appraiser would use in terms of valuing the property, because there just aren't comparable sales of that type of property. So I'm not sure that, I think it's a good discussion to have, but I'm not sure there'd be a lot of value to doing that. It might be.
If I could just add, yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. It's just gonna waste money, and putting out the RFP is gonna tell you the value of the property. Anything is valued at what somebody's willing to pay. And as long as we put in an effort to expose this RFP to as many potential, hopefully what turns into business partners in the future, that's the value as I see it.
And I meant to put this map up, and I'll do that now, just so we kind of see what we're talking about here. I think that's. I've got it north-south, so here's the, Herlong's down here. Lake, this is what we're referring to as the lake shore parcels, and there's many assessors parcels, and haven't done the research yet to know what legal parcels may be underlying there, if that even matters. And then there's the parcels that actually surround the Amity Airfield. A couple of issues that will need to, are you taking a picture? Because I'll pose.
Come on.
She wasn't gonna.
I know, no. Now, there are a couple issues that I think we need to flesh out before issuing the RFP. One of them being the joint, the memorandum of agreement with the Army that's for the joint use of the airfield that they own and will continue to own. I think no matter who ends up with this property is gonna have to work with the county to do any kind of use on that runway because of that agreement. And I think that agreement is specific to the county, so even though somebody may own the property, or if we transfer the property to someone else.
Is that situation included in this?
It's referenced as an attachment that has not been drafted yet. There's a couple of things that have not. One being the legal description The MOA is a document that's available, but we're still,
The third bullet, under selection criteria states the ability to comply with restrictions and conditions of the attached memorandum, which is attachment C.
right.
And I think the RFP needs to be more specific, that obviously that is good to have it attached, but I think there needs to be a paragraph or a narrative included in it, so it's clearly understood by any of the parties that the property is basically worthless unless the Army agrees to